Well, welcome everyone. We are having just a weird morning. It tells me that we are not live, but apparently we are live. So, welcome to Are We There Yet? Reflections from different places along the creative path. And I cannot see any of the chat. On my end, it looks like we are not live, but Margaret can see the chat. So, she is going to be our illustrious manager of the chat this morning. And we are delighted to have you here. We'll do a quick introduction and then we will hop on into our topic for today. So, Margaret, I will let you go first and then I will introduce myself after you.
Sure. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here with you today, Heidi. I'm Margaret Williams. I am the author of the Empowered Leader publication, where I help marginalized women to increase their visibility, their impact, and help them to transform their lives. Okay.
I love it. Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you. Well, I am Haide Giesbrecht. I write encouragement along the journey and reflections on the sacred and the ordinary. My whole I guess some of the values that drive what I do are authenticity. I want an experience here to be the same as if you came and stayed at my house, as if we met at Costco, as if you were in my client in my office. I am all about just being me wherever I show up. And I love encouraging people. I've discovered that that's one of the things that I do well when I am in a space where I have capacity and I can take time to pay attention to what's going on around me. And so, yeah, I'm delighted to be here and I'm excited about our topic. I've got pages of notes, Margaret, from what I've been doing over the last little while, and I'm excited to talk about where we are at. So, what we've been doing is we've been working through the artist's way, each of us at our own pace and with no pressure, just invitation. Chantel was going to be here with us today and had one of those oopsie things where she realized, oh my goodness, I'm actually on vacation and I'm not available about 5 minutes before the stream. So she will join us next time. And for now, it'll just be me and Margaret. And I'm looking forward to it. So I'm curious, Margaret, do you have any thoughts on I think it's been 12 weeks since we did a live. About 6 weeks ago, you and Chantel and I had just a lovely private conversation just about where we were at, which was a great connecting point. And I'll actually talk a little bit about that because you guys challenged me on some stuff. But I'm curious if you have any reflections from the last 12 weeks. What has it been like for you with the Artist's Way?
I'm going to be completely transparent with you.
Good.
Okay.
Yes.
I have been struggling getting through it. Okay. First of all, I'm a slow reader.
Okay.
And then I have a short attention span. Okay.
Yeah.
Because so many things are going on in the world. I can't just focus on one thing. I have to
Mm,
do a multitude of things.
yeah.
So I got distracted.
Yeah.
And honestly, I just got into the artist's way. I'm
Okay.
just being completely transparent because
Good.
I got the book
Yeah.
and I also have the audio.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Does
because
she read it in her own voice?
you can no, she's not
No.
reading it.
Okay.
I can't remember really.
Okay.
But what I did when I used it this morning, I recognized that you can just listen to it.
Yeah.
And then there's another tab where you can listen and read at the same time.
Oh, I love that. It's like
Right?
subtitles.
Yeah, right. And so I also saw at the bottom you can schedule.
Yeah.
Okay. So today I went in the Audible app and I like, okay, I'm gonna put 7 days on here. And then I picked a time. So it's gonna tie that task into my to-do list. So I
Mm,
said, well, prompt me at 6 o'clock in the morning. That way I can do the morning pages.
nice.
I can also do the reading. Because before
Nice.
me, doing so many multitude of things, I need a reminder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so with that daily reminder, boom, home, I can focus on these things
Wonderful.
intentionally.
Yes. Well, and I think I love that because what we've been talking about all along is if we allow the artist's way to lead us in the way that each one of us needs, that it actually allows us to do it. And I think both Chantel and I have found that this time approaching it with invitation and openness rather than, oh my goodness, there's a structure that I have to follow perfectly, has actually allowed it to be this beautiful growing piece. And I just got a text from her and she said, I am on week 9. Feel free to share anything from the update I sent. And so I'm actually going to read the update because she and I sent each other a message earlier this week, just doing a quick little update. Um, and all right. So she says, lots has been happening for me as well. Little quiet things. I'm not sure what it all means or what it will be, but things are shifting. I love that. The biggest thing is I'm tending to myself more. And I read that and I was so proud of her. Like, she's a mom of younger kids who are in that space where they have tons of stuff going on, and she is the driver, and she's also working full time and juggling so much. And so those are often spaces in life where women tend to neglect themselves. And so I love that she's tending to herself more. And then she gave me 5 things that are going on, which are super exciting. She says, number 1, I'm working on a play and have joined a writers group. And I don't know if you remember her talking, but she had this play that she started, like, when she was quite young, and she's always had this vision, but it keeps getting put on the back burner, and so she is continuing to work on it. Second is she submitted an application for a retreat in December. Third, she is joining a spiritual formation group that focuses on supporting artists. 4, I'm in the process of figuring out what paid membership means. And I love number 5. Number 5, I told her, like, I want to join you. She says, I have a vision of traveling to cool places to give talks about reading and literacy and curiosity. Yeah. And so beautiful things that are happening. And um, I was totally inspired reading that. So it's, yeah, it's been great. I myself, I am on week 10, and some interesting stuff came out of week 10, which I'm sure we will get into. Um, there definitely have been some weeks that I found more helpful than others, and some weeks that I've just found it's harder to get into, or they're not resonating in quite the same way. But I find I get something out of every week. It's not always what she intends in the book, but again, with the whole customizing it, seeing it as an invitation, I find that there's something of value that comes out of every week for me. Um, yeah, I'm one of the things that I've noticed is that in this process, there are definitely these moments where old messages come up. And so I'll share kind of one of mine that has come up, and then I'm curious whether anything has come up for you. Um, and it's interesting because I've done a number of brave things that have been really exciting. One of my goals is in the next 5 years, I would like to do a TED Talk. And I've got my topic. I've even started writing my speech. And I ended up doing this 1-day workshop that was for educators who are interested in TED Talks. And I'm not a teacher, but one of the qualifications was if you were a counselor working with students, and I am. I have quite a few students that I support throughout the school year. And so I thought, hey, I qualify. I'm going to do the 1-day workshop. And at the end of it, they had an invitation to submit a through line, which is kind of your pitch for your speech. And the deadline was like August 16th. And again, I'm like, well, it wasn't on my radar to do this year. and there's going to be thousands of applications. So there's no guarantee that I'll be chosen. But what's the harm in doing it? Because I get the practice. And if they choose me, then it's my time. And if they don't choose me, then I've had practice and I can go again next time. And so I submitted it. And there's been a little while ago, I wrote the Fence to Fields piece. I don't know if you got a chance to read that one, but it was one that Dorette had actually challenged me to write. And when she challenged me at first, there was like resistance. Like, I don't want to write this. This feels too vulnerable. This feels too personal. And yet I kept coming back to it. And it was like, okay, I'm going to write it. And as I wrote it and some of the responses that I was getting from people, I thought, oh gosh, there's a book here. Like, the essay itself, I really had to contain it because it got a lot longer than I intended it to be. And so a friend of mine, John Longhurst, who is he's a journalist, and he had encouraged me to approach a specific publisher that publishes books that would be very much in line with this topic. And he's like, I want you to go take a look at their book pitch page because I think you should pitch your book. And I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. But I did eventually go take a look at it because I have a lot of respect for him. And I realized, yeah, this is another one of those things that I need to do. And again, whether they accept it or not, that isn't the point. It's again about just stepping out and doing it. And so I am almost there. I need to finish another half a chapter before I've got everything together that I need to submit. And in the process of that, he had also challenged me to reach out to a mutual friend of ours who is a traditionally published author multiple times over. And I was like, yeah, I know I should reach out to her. And I know she's lovely. She would be absolutely delightful. And I don't want to. I don't want to do it. And so I finally did it. I sent her a message and she responded immediately. I would love to meet you. I would love to talk about writing. And holy moly, that is when all those things came up. And the big one for me that came up is again, it goes back to the grade 4 voice thing. I'm not as smart as I think I am. And that one comes back to haunt me regularly when I'm doing stuff. And so it's been really good awareness because I can recognize it and I'm moving forward in spite of it. And my next session with my therapist is going to be some EMDR around this because it's like, why does this keep coming up? So yeah, that's been kind of something I've noticed just in my internal battle, the internal stuff going on, like and I think we all have those places where we get hung up. And so I'm curious if you have noticed anything like that for yourself, Margaret.
Yes, because I have always been an overthinker,
Mm,
okay? And ruminating within myself and this inner conflict. Should I
mm,
do this? Should I do that? Should I do this? Or should I do that?
yeah,
And so I find that going through the artist's way, okay, it's especially the morning pages, that's going to enable
mm,
me to do this writing to figure all of these things out because we need to get these things out of our head,
yes,
okay, on some paper so we can reflect upon it and say, ah, okay, then you start seeing the interconnections. Like, for example, Chantel, you see the interconnections and everything she's doing is about surrounded around writing
yes,
and helping others.
yes,
So when we do these morning pages, we can do a dump.
yes,
We all need to do this internal dump every day because
yeah,
of all the stuff that's in our head. Get it out, and then we can become who we truly are.
yeah, yeah,
Okay?
yeah,
And morning pages will allow us to do that once we finish the artist's way. It starts with having a contract with yourself and say,
yeah,
this is what I am going to do.
mm,
And
yeah,
this is the commitment to myself, to my personal growth.
yeah,
And in working on yourself and as leaders, we can help to help others to develop these skills within themselves
Yeah.
because we've done the work.
Yeah. Well, and I'm such a firm believer in leading by example. Like if I expect something from others, I need to be willing to do it. I can't be like, well, you should do this, but I'm going to do it differently. So, yeah. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
I
so I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, please.
Because now that you said that, my father used to say that to me. Don't do as I do as I say. It don't work like that. I didn't argue with him. But if you are a genuine leader that cares about people, you're going to lead by example
Yeah.
because you can say what you want. But if you're not doing what you said, then nobody's going to really listen to you. It's just blah, 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 blah. And that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So we have to be willing to step outside of our comfort zone and do the work.
Yeah.
I was so resistant in doing the artist way because I'm like, I don't feel like I need to write every day. Well, but we're writing every day anyway. We're on
And
this
then
platform, right?
and then you've got this lovely friend Heidi who keeps popping into your messages saying, "Hey, Margaret, how's it going?" Right?
And I appreciate you holding me accountable because otherwise I don't think I would have ever opened that book. She's like, we got a meeting this week. I'm like, I'm gonna figure it out. Okay. I'll get what come hell or high water. I'm gonna figure it out because I'm not gonna
Mhm.
show up and not be able to deliver something. Okay.
Right.
Because
Well, and
I was committed to you and Chantal.
yeah.
Okay. And I have a commitment to my subscribers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Free and even the people that follow me. So if I can't walk the walk, why am I here? Okay?
Yeah.
We have to have courage. Okay?
Yeah.
To do it anyway. Like Julia she
Cameron.
said,
Yeah.
Cameron, do it anyway. Might not feel like writing, do it anyway.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And then in the end you'll be happy that you did.
Yeah. Well, I have found that has been, I think it's probably, and I know Chantel has said the same thing. I think this is probably why this time has felt more successful because this is my third time attempting the artist's way. And like the first time I got through the intro, second time I got to page, I think 78. And then this time I'm in chapter 10, like I'm nearing the end. And a big part of it has been having accountability, knowing that there are other people who are doing it, that we're going to be meeting to talk about it. And also, like Chantel will sometimes send me messages just like, hey, how's it going? Here's what I'm doing. And those have been really helpful as well. Kind of like I've done the check in ones with you, like just they prompt, right? And they remind you, like, hey, someone else is doing this too. And there's something about, and maybe it's that piece of like, it's okay to like disappoint myself, but I don't want to disappoint someone else. I think often as humans, there's some accountability that comes with that, but it genuinely has made this so rich for me. Like I've stuck with it, and I actually, as I'm like on chapter 10 and I'm reflecting on what's been working, I'm starting to think like, okay, what comes after chapter 12? Because I don't feel like I'm done when chapter 12 arrives. I also don't feel like I want to go back and redo the book, but I do want to keep doing something intentional. And so I put out a question recently to my readers saying, hey, what books would you recommend? Like, here's a couple of options people have suggested. What are some ideas? And so, yeah, there have been a few people that have reached out and given me some additional ideas. So that's kind of my goal for the next month is to figure out what now? What do I do after this? Because I do feel like there's something about this rhythm that, even though I resisted it at the beginning, is actually working for me. And so it's cool. Yeah.
I just want to say when I came to my chat that one day and saw you and Chantel there, I was shocked. And I'm like, oh. And you said, well, how's it going? I was like, it's not going good at all. I
Yeah.
haven't done nothing.
Yeah.
And so the fact that you guys were there to support me
Yeah.
and you said, don't worry about it. Just do what you can.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And that really encouraged me to
Yeah.
know that I had you guys support and
Yeah.
assistance. That just meant the world to me.
Yeah.
And it uplifted me.
Yay. Well, and I think that that has been it for all of us all along is take off the pressure because I think all three of us tend to be a little perfectionist. Like
Yes,
we
yes.
commit ourselves, we do it. We're like, and I think there are some good qualities about that, and there are some challenges. And I think for all of us, taking the pressure off has actually allowed us to start like leaning in and flourishing in the midst of it, which yeah, has been really good. Um, yeah, it was interesting. So I did like a little note on if you're okay, I'll just kind of run through some of the stuff that's been happening for me since last time, and then feel free to add stuff as well. There was a quote that I just really loved, and it's on in my book, in my version, it's on page 11. But she says, "Being an artist requires enthusiasm more than discipline." Yeah, and she defines enthusiasm as a loving surrender to the creative process. And I feel like that's exactly what we've been talking about in terms of like taking off the pressure. It's not about like whipping ourselves into shape and making sure that we're doing this and this and this and this, but it's about actually just opening up ourselves to the creative process and allowing to come out and to flourish what is there. Um, and so, I've been doing morning pages, not necessarily in the morning. I always laugh when I'm doing morning pages at like 12:30 a.m. for the previous day. I'm technically doing my morning pages just like, 24 hours later. Um, but I'm still determined. I'm like, I'm still doing them, and then I will do them again tonight. And I've been finding that like sometimes it's just a blah of thoughts. Sometimes it's lists where I'm just like, here are all the things that I need to think about or that I want to remember or that I want to do. Um, Sometimes it's actual writing, and sometimes it's projects that have been on my mind where I'm like, I've just got to write these things down. And so I got this new journal, which I had shown you previously, and I'll show it here again. It's this beautiful Tree of Life journal, and it's got this lovely pen holder that just happens to be exactly the same color as my personal pens that I hand out to my clients. um, and the best thing about it that I was so excited when I discovered is that it has a table of contents. And at first I was a little miffed because I was like, there's like 8 pages of table of contents. And I'm like, what a waste of 8 pages of my journal. Because, like, what? Am I going to number every single page? And as I start writing, I notice they've numbered every single page for me. And so I'm like, oh, so I've actually been using my table of contents and my fun pens that I got. And it's not a traditional table of contents. On one page, I have just random topics, so miscellaneous things, and I'll write the page number, what the topic is. On the next one, I have things pertaining to specifics. So the artist's way. So I'll list when I've got stuff that I want to talk about on one of these. Um, I've got goals and ideas, and so I'll note down the pages where I have goals and ideas. Gratitude, so I'll note that down, so kind of specific things. And then I have a whole page dedicated to writing ideas. When something comes up where I'm like, I mean, two of the things that I wrote down was I used to be an extrovert. And so I'm like, that's a piece. I want to write about that. And then I've had to qualify vocally for my competitive vocal chorus, and it was brutal. And I had a week where I felt like crying every single day, and I was like, I can't do it. I'm gonna quit. And then I remembered I feel like this every single time I have to do this. So I that's something I'm gonna write about one of these days. And then I still have like 3 more pages that I can dedicate to something. So it's been the table of contents has been really fantastic. Um, and in the process of like writing stuff down, there's a couple of things that I've done that I'm like, I'm really proud of myself for doing. So one was the submitting the through line to TED Ed. The other was reaching out to my author friend. Um, with the idea that I had for the book that I want to do, I've actually come up with a chapter outline. And so I've got all my working titles, my working chapter titles, which of course they're all subject to change as I'm writing, but they're there. Um, I was really encouraged by some of the writing that I read that kept talking about the shitty first draft. Like, stop editing yourself and trying to make it perfect. Just get the shitty first draft out, and then you go back and you edit. And so I struggle with that one, Margaret, because I still want to make it perfect as I go. And so there are times where I kind of get stuck in a paragraph for a while, but I'm trying very much just to get the shitty first draft out there and then we'll deal with it. Um, and then I reached out to someone who I was listening to her podcast and I loved it. And I thought, what the heck? I'll reach out to her. If she never responds, no worries. And she responded and happened to be out here in the area. She's actually from out east and messaged me to say, want to meet for coffee? And I said, yes. And so as a result of that, I thought of another writer here on Substack that I was like, I feel like the three of us could have a really good conversation. And so I don't know if he's going to be interested, but I reached out to him and it was one of those, hey, this is an invitation. If you're interested, that's great. If not, that's totally fine. Yeah. And so it feels like there have been, oh, yeah. And one more thing. You and Chantel challenged me last time when I read you my letter that I had written, and you both said, "You're putting this on Substack, right?" And I was like, "No." And you guys were like, "Yeah, you should. You need to." And so I have been sitting on it like for 6 weeks since you guys challenged me on it. And yesterday, I sent out the email to a bunch of friends and family, and I posted it as my weekly post on Substack, a version of it. And that was one of those like super vulnerable, kind of like fence and fields. It was one of those things that I did not want to post because it feels really vulnerable, but I did it anyway. And so, yeah, I feel like the last 6 weeks, I feel like it's just exploded, in a really positive way. So, yeah, and I didn't that wasn't happening for me right at the beginning, and so, um, as I'm hearing you talk about the beginning and just battling through some of the things, I'm like, "Yeah, I get that," because I I feel like that was me when I started as well. It was tough going at the beginning, like, those first few chapters, they did not feel easy, and then something happened as I found my rhythm that has just broadened, and I think for Chantal as well, like, when I read her list of 5 things, I'm like, "Go girl, that's awesome," right? Like, so, yeah.
I just want to make mention of one thing. We're talking about discipline and things like that because I worked for the Army 39 years.
Discipline, yes.
Yeah, so I what I did was rather than to feel anything, I blocked it out and then just
Mm,
focusing on what I needed to do.
mm,
But I found that I was disconnected from my
mm,
emotions. Okay.
yeah.
I was disconnected from my spirituality. I was disconnected from my creativity.
Oh,
And,
yes.
and, and as we know, creativity, you're reconnecting with your inner child
Yeah,
because that's when we were the most creative
yes.
because we didn't have any inhibitions. We didn't have any judgment, no criticism. We
Yeah,
just, like Nike, we just did it.
yeah,
And we were much more creative at that particular time, but then you get demands from the family and this and that and the other. Then we find ourselves masking who we are and trying to fit in with what other people wanted
yeah.
so we could, satisfy other people's whims and self-abandoning ourselves.
Mhm.
Okay. So when we let go of all of that, we are able to be who we truly are.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so this for me, when I got into the next chapter, we're talking about recovering a sense of safety. And I have
Mm.
never felt safe.
Oh gosh.
I'm
Yeah.
just being honest. So
Yeah.
that impeded my creativity and
Yeah.
everything that uh, I wanted to become. And
Yeah.
that stifled me and kept me stuck
Yeah.
into this loop, this endless loop of despair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so when I read that, recovering a sense of safety,
Mm.
then I like, if I once I recover that, then these artist dates, okay, will
Yeah.
become much more like breathing, because that gives me a
Mm.
lot of anxiety to go out somewhere, not knowing where I'm going, who I'm going to run into, what may happen along the way or on the way back.
Yeah.
I was resistant to it.
Yeah. 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 Oh gosh, so many thoughts for me as I'm listening to you. Like, it's interesting when you say recovering a sense of safety, and then just before that, you said, I have never felt safe. And so my curiosity goes to, so how do you recover a sense of safety if you've not felt safe? It's almost like building a sense of safety. And I'm curious, have you discovered what that journey looks like for you?
Well, when I left my father's house, okay,
Mhm.
at that point I started feeling safe to a certain extent, but then I went
Yeah.
to work for the government because
Mhm.
that was safe. Okay, working for the government, you working with a team,
Yeah.
you supporting and helping each other.
Yeah.
Okay, that made me feel safe. But once I left, my safety net was gone. Okay,
Right.
it was just a temporary safety. It really wasn't safe. It wasn't safe there. That's why I retired when I did.
Okay.
But then I felt very unsafe,
Mm.
so that's why I stay to myself.
Yeah.
Okay, because how can I how can I know who to trust?
Yeah.
Trust begins, self trust, love, and respect. It starts at home.
Yeah.
If you don't trust yourself and respect yourself and all
Yeah.
these things, you can't get that from nobody else.
Yeah.
Because people will sense your insecurities and they will play on them.
Mm. Mhm.
I mean, it's just life. You look at life,
Yeah.
you know, the powerful, they prey on the weak.
Yeah.
And okay, so it's like, well, how can I change that?
Yeah.
Because if you come across like you're confident, you're in yourself and your abilities, I don't
Yeah.
care what anybody else think, it's not going to matter.
Yeah.
Okay? So when I got to that level, so it helped me to raise my vibration.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So once you feel safe within yourself, respect
Yeah.
yourself and love yourself,
Yeah.
nobody else can touch you. And
Yeah.
once I realized that, then I'm like, okay, whatever, because everybody not going to like us, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But I love myself,
Yeah.
and I can
Well,
take joy in that now.
yeah. Well, I as you're talking, I'm thinking like the recovering a sense of safety feels like it's connected to the reconnecting with your emotions, your spirituality, your creativity. And even as you talk about like safety and trust, I'm like, yeah, so much of that I think is about that being aligned, innerly aligned, and being connected, like trusting your instincts, right? How many times do we override our instinct and then in hindsight go, why didn't I listen? I knew and I didn't listen to myself. Or I knew, but I heard someone else who said it more forcefully and I went, oh, they must be right. And like gave away that agency. And so yeah, I wonder if safety is connected to the reconnection with emotions, spirituality, creativity. Um,
It definitely is, because I saw my progression when I first got to Substack, and
yeah,
now it's a
yeah,
totally big difference. And you notice when you change your thoughts
yeah,
and your beliefs and ideas about yourself and raise your vibration, then you attract the right people in your
Yeah.
life. You attract the right things in your life. You're
Yeah.
able to elevate yourself and others.
Yeah. Yeah. Are there things that you find yourself resisting in this process?
Not anymore, because I trust myself.
Okay.
When my intuition tells me something, I listen to that. Okay,
Good.
it's telling me that for a reason. Every time you go against that, like you said, something
Yeah.
happened. You like, I should have followed my first
I knew
mind,
this. I
right?
knew this. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
believe in yourself,
Yeah.
and then others will believe in you too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we want attract like, when you raise your elevation, then the people that you used to have in your life, they fall off because they can no longer benefit from your negativity that you have
Mm.
about yourself. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you, for example, and Chantal, you guys have high uh vibration
Hmm.
and energy, and we attracted each other because we're the same type of people.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's why we all get along so well, and we help each other to
Yeah.
rise and elevate. And that's what leadership is all about.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I'm hearing that this creative journey and the artist's way is um, giving more opportunity to work through and develop some of these inner pieces that are moving you forward as well. Yeah.
Yeah, because think about all the negative thoughts that you have about yourself, the world, and people around you.
Yeah.
Why hold that in? Why hold that stuff in? Write it down, get it out, get it out. That
Yeah.
way you can replace it with things that are going to be much more beneficial for you and the
Yeah.
people you serve, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what keeps your people coming back to you
Yeah.
and mine to me.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how we make a difference in the world.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because as I was thinking about that as you were talking, I'm like, okay, so two things. One of the things that I have found myself resisting in this artist's way is the artist dates for some reason. And Chantal, like, I love her creativity around the artist dates. It's super inspiring. I don't know what it is. Like, I haven't figured out why I'm resisting it. And it's not even like I don't want to do it. It's just I don't even know what I would do. And so sometimes I will, like I went ziplining and I considered that my artist date because it was, something different. But I haven't found that particular practice quite as beneficial as some of the others. And so, again, I'm like, okay, well, maybe that's okay. Um, but it's interesting because I was doing a bit of reading. I don't sit down and read the whole chapter. I read like little bits and then I write for a while. And in a day, 2, 3, whatever, when I feel ready to come back at it again, I'll read another little section. So it often takes me longer than a week to do a week, and I like that because it actually lets me get into it more. And so last night, I some of the chapters I've just been like, okay, I think I'm done with this chapter, even though I haven't done every single thing she said. And so I move on. And so I moved into chapter 10, and it was really fascinating, and I thought, this is probably something I should mention to you guys this morning. Um, she was talking about fame, and like,
Ooh.
sometimes yeah, yeah, and I find sometimes when she makes these statements about, "This is the way it is," this is just me as a person, I go, "Well, it's not the way it is for me." And so, there have been a number of things where she's like, "This is how it is for people," and I'm like, yeah, that doesn't quite sound like me. And so the fame one was really interesting because I read I read the chapter and I don't even remember what she said about it, but she was talking about how people like seek out fame. And immediately there was this thing that came up in me and I went, I don't want to be famous. I don't want fame. Like, that's not something I've ever wanted. And so I found myself writing about it, and I wrote, reading in the artist's way about fame is interesting. I actually find myself not wanting fame. I want my voice to be heard, but I don't want to be in the spotlight. There's something about being visible that feels very vulnerable for me. And then I'm like thinking about how ironic it is that I've just submitted a TED Throughline. I'm thinking about pitching a book to a publisher. There's all these dreams that I have that are not invisible. They, if I pursue them, they actually are going to make me more visible because I want to write. I like discussing ideas with people. I love these live conversations where, I mean, by definition, people are watching. um, and I have questions that, like all of these things that I want to have travel further than they currently are. And so I have these opportunities that I want that actually give my work a larger platform. But there's this internal tension of, but I don't want fame. And so it was interesting. I came up with the words, I think I want impact rather than attention. Because to me, fame feels like attention, and I don't want attention. But I want my words and my ideas to have a positive impact in the world. And so it's a really weird tension, right? This impact versus attention. And so I've got a couple of journaling questions that I haven't written about yet, but I'll read out the questions that I wrote down last night. So, how visible am I willing to become in service of the work that I feel compelled and called to do? um, what degree of visibility am I willing to accept in order to be faithful to this work? And thinking like visibility isn't the aspiration, but it actually feels like the cost of the call. And so I don't have any answers on this front, but these are like some thoughts that got raised for me yesterday around this. Like, okay, again, I think it's just acknowledging the tension that exists. Like, I don't think there is an easy answer. I think it is a process and will be a process of figuring it out as I go. But it was just a really interesting thing to identify for myself. Like, oh, there's there's something there. Like that might be counseling session number 2.
It's funny that you mention that because I'm an introvert. I was never, an intention. Well, if you think about it, sometimes negative attention will
Mm,
get you, not necessarily the results, but people to look at you,
yeah,
especially when you are held down and told to shut up and don't do this and don't do that. So you just get used to being like that. Well, they don't want to hear what I have to say. They don't, whatever. It's not about them. In order to elevate, we have to open ourselves up and be vulnerable.
yeah,
And I was a big avoidant. Okay. And my fear, people have fear of success and fear of failure. And that's the
mhm,
reason why a lot of people don't want to step out there because they think they're going to end up with egg on their face. Well, I end up with egg on my face sometime every day.
yeah,
And I'm like, just like yesterday, that whole thing was a mess. I mean,
mm,
I figured it out. And we have to be willing to make these mistakes. That's how we learn, through
yeah,
trial and error.
yeah,
Okay, what did I learn from that experience? And what can I do better next time?
yeah,
There's no such thing as perfection.
mm,
We have to be like Nike. Just do it. Okay? Because if you don't do it and try, you're gonna fail. You're not gonna go anywhere in life. You're gonna stay down
yeah,
here.
yeah,
Okay? But if you want to elevate yourself and the people that you serve, you got to be willing to do the hard things,
yeah,
of the difficult things, because it gets easier as you go.
yeah,
Okay?
yeah,
Keep going anyway.
yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
You know how
Yeah.
many people have technical problems when they're going live? Okay?
Many. Me.
Yes. Yeah, I seen one day you had to stop and do it like 3 different times for it
Oh
to show.
gosh. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
But you did it anyway, and look at you
Yeah.
today.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I had this thought halfway through this. If I'm not showing that we're live, are we actually going to have a recording when we're done? I have no idea. I sure hope so, because this has been a really great conversation. But yeah, there you take a risk when you put yourself out there. And I think, like, for me, it is definitely not a battle that I've won, as evidenced by some of my questions around fame and the tension with being known, being visible. Um, but I find what helps me personally is consistently redirecting. What is the word I'm looking for? I guess redirecting my focus so that my focus is about alignment. It's about, what is important to me? What are the values? And I have, a handful of things that I go to, like authenticity is one, kindness, generosity, encouragement. Like these are things that for me are internal values that really direct my path. And so when it feels really scary stepping into something, I try to step into it anyways. But instead of going where my mind would like to go, which is, oh, what are people thinking? What's going on? What would people think was like a big childhood message that I got. And so I've very consciously had to fight back against that. And instead of like, what would people think, to just really bring it back to, what do I think? Is this congruent with who I am? Am I living out of who I am? Then whatever people do with that, I can't control it, but I can focus on who I am and what I want to bring out into the world. Um, I don't always do it perfectly. And so there I want to have humility and willingness to hear from people when I've done something that hasn't landed. Um, and obviously that's always challenging for us as humans. And yet we've got to be willing to, okay, that wasn't what I intended, but gosh, I'm hearing how that landed for you and tell me more about it, right? Um,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah. So
I, I,
I find for me that internal piece has been like life changing, really, because it's taken my focus away from the what will people think to here's what I can actually do.
and if we all do that, we will all have much more success in our lives because
Mm.
believe it or not, everybody gonna have something to say, but does it matter?
Yeah.
What matters is that you're making progress in your life. While those other people sitting around and talking and complaining and all that stuff, you're elevating yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. You are developing new skills.
Yeah.
You're nurturing and cultivating new relationships.
Yeah.
Look how far you've come since you put that aside. Don't care what people think.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you making positive changes in your life and in the lives of others?
I hope so.
You are in mine, and
Yeah.
I'm honored that you're part of it.
Yeah, I'm glad we met here too, Margaret. It's been I have been so blessed by the many relationships that I've made here on Substack. Like so many fascinating people that I wouldn't necessarily have connected with because first of all, we live in vastly different parts of the world. And often we live in really different circles of life that likely never would have crossed otherwise. So I think it's just really wonderful. But
It
yeah.
is, and fame, that stuff scares me because I like
Mm,
sometimes I'm scared to even come back to Substack because I'm like, oh my God, I got so much
mm,
pressure on me and people
mm,
with these expectations of people, especially like your subscribers and things like
yeah,
that, my paid subscribers. And I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I worked for the government for 39 years,
yeah,
okay? In a
yeah,
structured environment, in a box. And I was comfortable in
yeah,
that box because it kept me safe.
yeah,
But it it crippled me from
yeah,
becoming the person I was. That was just a person I was at that time.
yeah,
That's not who I truly was.
yeah,
Okay?
yeah,
It was very scary to retire. That's why I stayed for 39 years.
yeah,
Okay? And I was unhappy.
yeah,
Okay?
yeah,
But when I got completely fed up, I like, there's got to be something better in life than
yeah.
this. And we need to find that. We owe that to ourselves.
Yeah. Well, it's so interesting because I think about, I mean, the first thought for me was boxes. Like when you're working for the government, there's a box and there's a certain way that you fit in. And it is both feels safe because it's contained, but it's also constricting. And I find fences are the same. Like fences feel really safe. And it's part of what I've been writing about recently, which, yeah, the fences actually felt really safe until I started to realize that, oh, they actually hem me in as well. And then there's this tension of which part am I going to value more? Am I going to value but it feels really safe. And so I'm going to stay. Or am I going to step out into something that feels much more uncertain and recognize the potential for growth? And I think that's a really scary journey for a lot of people. And so, but it's an invitation like, hey, you don't have to be in the box. You don't have to be in the fence. There might be a world beyond that that feels scary when you first step into it, but might end up bringing you far more joy and contentment and opportunity than you ever dreamed possible. And that's what I heard in your story, was exactly that.
Yes, we have to be willing to be courageous because
Yeah,
people are listening to us and they're watching.
yeah,
And if we do something different than what we're telling the people that follow us,
yeah,
what does that say about us? Our credibility.
yeah,
What does that say? Okay.
yeah,
So we have to lead by example, like you said.
yeah.
No matter how scary it is, your legs could be shaking, do it anyway.
Exactly. Do you maybe I'm noticing our time, and so we're getting kind of to that 1 hour mark. I'm thinking maybe let's finish off our time with something that we're excited about either trying or something that maybe has grown out of the artist's way as a I want to consider this. Um, Something totally unrelated that is part of the journey. So whatever that brings up for you. And if you want me to go first, because I've kind of just randomly thrown this at you, that's fine. But if you've got something that comes to mind, go for it.
Okay, I did want to tell you, Micah said the EMDR is so wonderful. I wanted to
Yes.
let you know that.
Thank you. Yes, I've done basic EMDR training myself, and so I've had as part of the training, you have to work with each other, and it was a really great experience. And I've done some with my therapist around another issue. So yes, thank you, Micah. I am very much looking forward to my next session because I'm like I've got something I need to talk to her about. So yeah.
So for me, I had to let go of a lot of things, a lot
Mm,
of um, because of the trauma, my anger towards
mm,
people.
mm.
Okay, I am not perfect.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm sure I did some things to
none of
maybe
us
piss
are.
some people off or whatever. Okay, so but we have to be willing to let these things go because these things they engulf us and they are one of the reasons that prevents us from growing and
Mm,
also impacts our physical, mental, emotional well-being.
mm,
So I learned the importance of forgiveness,
mm.
not just for others,
For
for
yourself.
myself.
Yeah.
And then by letting go all of these things, then I can bring much, I have more, I can attract more positive things into my life.
Mm. Yeah,
But you can't do that with all of this other things
yeah,
inside. Okay.
yeah.
And that's the biggest lesson for me.
That's awesome. Well, I think so often as humans, we define ourselves by our mistakes rather than defining ourselves by who we are. And I think when you talk about that, forgiving myself, what I hear is I'm now no longer defining myself by the mistakes that I've made. I'm accepting myself, loving myself, seeing myself for who I am. And then those things that happened are just part of my story. They're part of what brought me to this place, right? Which is, again, like talking about holding things open-handedly. That feels like a really beautiful open-handed way of holding it. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I find that we are less reactive of what's
Mm,
happening in the world
yeah.
because we don't have to be a part of these things.
Yeah.
We don't, that's why I said observe, not absorb.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was absorbing too many things.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you recognize that, let go.
Yeah.
You can observe it and
Yeah.
it's like, okay, and just move on because that has
Yeah.
nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Well,
Don't carry burdens that's not yours. Don't carry things that don't belong to you. Give it back to the person it belongs to and tell them to figure it out on their own. Okay, because I'm too busy working on myself.
yeah. Well, and you earlier in our time together, you used the word intentional, and I think intentionality rather than reactivity, right? Um, yeah. Well, I remember how I told you about my first ziplining experience and how terrified I was of heights and how much I loved it. Well, the place that we went ziplining is up in Whistler, BC, which the Olympics 2010 Olympics were up there. It's a famous ski place, beautiful mountains, and the zip line that I did was the lowest of the three that they have, and it goes back and forth like 4 or 5 times across the valley from mountain to mountain. Now they have a higher one that I don't know how many zips, but it's a lot higher. Like we were like looking way up at the people doing the higher zip line. And then they have one of the longest zip lines in North America, but it's just one zip. And so I was like, yeah, to me, it's not about just doing one zip. I don't want to just do one. I want to do a couple back and forth. So together with two of my friends, we have signed up to do the middle one, so the higher one that goes back and forth across the valley a number of times. And on the September long weekend, I will be doing my second zip line. I am very excited. Turns out that my fear of heights is overcomable.
It's
So
fear. It's
yeah,
fear.
yeah. Stepping
Fear
out
nothing but
anyway.
fear itself.
Yep,
Exactly.
yep,
I love that. Good for
yeah.
you. And I know you're going to film it. Did you get that Go Pro?
I didn't. It's on my list because we're planning to do the Camino next year, and I want to have it on the Camino so that I can be hands-free and just enjoying. So, yeah, yeah. But
Good for
it's
you, my friend.
Yep, I am looking forward to it. So, yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Margaret, for joining today. And I truly do hope that this recording actually is a recording. So I guess we will see if it shows up in our drafts folder. And yeah, because
I just I just
I,
want
yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say mine was not in the draft folder, but it was on Riverside. Okay, it was on Riverside, and I
Okay.
pulled after I edited,
Yeah.
I pulled it. I pulled it into Substack. So
Yeah.
that's one of the good things about using a
Well,
third party tool.
but I wasn't using Riverside today. Today was just strictly through Substack, and I'm not sure what happened because everything looked like it was not through, like it wasn't the RTMP, it was through Substack, and everything looked good until I clicked go live. And we apparently went live, but I'm still not showing that we're live, which is super bizarre. But obviously we are because people are responding and hearing us, which is lovely. So we'll all keep our fingers crossed that somewhere in the ether there is this beautiful recording that we can listen back to later. And if not, I guess it will be what it is. So yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah,
I'm
thank you
grateful.
everyone. Yeah, thank you everyone for joining. It's been a wonderful conversation with Margaret, and I look forward to figuring out what our next one is, and hopefully Chantel will be able to join us on that one as well.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Enjoy your weekend.
thank you. You too, Margaret. We'll talk soon.
Thanks. Thank you.
All
All
right.
right. Bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.